Hey folks, today I want to show you how to make this, how we made this lovely round stair steps up to our porch here with some repurposed bricks. It is 23 August 2020 and let me show you what I got here. If I come out my front door, I've got a sidewalk that goes that way, and then I've got this porch with a drop off that goes out to the backyard and the shed and stuff. So I'd like to be able to come out the door and be able to head over that way, but I've got a bad knee, and that's about maybe a 1.5 foot drop right there, which isn't huge. If I was 20 years old, it wouldn't be an issue. I'd just jump off there all the time, but at any rate, I can't do that. So that means I got to walk down the ramp and then around. So what I'd like to do is put some stairs here, and I wanted to make them decorative. I got a bunch of bricks, more than that pile there. I've got a bunch of them out back, and so I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to make a stair step, decorative stair step out of bricks. I also have a piece of slate right there that's left over from a bathroom project that I might incorporate. Anyway, so let me show you what I'm going to do to make a round, and I want to make it round, semicircle of bricks. Alright, so I picked up this piece of metal here, and I'm not even sure what it is. I think it may be something for flashing or something for roofs, but anyway, I picked it up. It was straight. I just bent it just by just bending it every few inches. You can see the bends there. Every couple inches I just bent it a little bit to where it was curved, and I'm gonna set that down in there and use that as kind of a form for concrete. Now, in order to make this a semicircle, I need to do a little math. So, and let me show you what I'm going to explain to you what I'm going to do, and then I'll show you as I do it. So I measured this strip, and it was 122 inches long. So if I consider that strip to be half of a circle, that would make it half the circumference of a circle, which would be that half C right there. So that's half the circumference. And a formula for a circle is the radius equals the circumference divided by 2 times pi. My circumference is actually 244 because it's twice the length of that, and that roughly figures out to be 38.83 inches should be my radius. So what I've got here is I've got a couple cement stakes, and I've got some wire, and I'm going to put one cement stake here at the center, and I'm going to measure out 38.8 inches of wire and put another stake, and then that's going to allow me, number one, to use that stake to kind of dig a groove, which this thing will set in, so that way I don't have to do a lot of digging to put my to pour my cement. And it also is going to tell me how far apart to put these bricks. I'm going to use these bricks as holders to mark the ends and as weights to keep this in place. So if I double my 38.83, I'll end up with 77.5 inches. These bricks here will need to be that far apart. But first things first, I'm going to measure this out and make sure that I've got 2 stakes that are 38.83 inches apart, which is at approximately 38 and 7/8 or 38 and 13/16, in between there. This is concrete work. It doesn't have to be exact. And then we'll start doing this, and hopefully everything I just explained will become clearer as I actually show it to you. Alright, so I've got my my cement stake here, and this is some fairly heavy duty wire. Now, if you had some like baling wire or something small, or even electrical wire that you were using, you could probably just put it on there, twist it, and that'd be fine. But this is going to be too hard for me to twist or tie a knot in. So I'm going to take and I'm going to put a radiator clamp on it and tighten that down, and then that should hold it in place. Alright, so that'll keep that from coming out. Now I'm going to measure this out to where it's my 38 and 38.83 inches out to the other stake. So that way I've got the right length. And then I'm going to do this again up at the top so that way it can't bow in and out, wobble in and out. You'll see that here in just a second. Alright, so I'm just going to cut this about 44 inches. That way I can put this through the other thing and adjust it to the exact 38.83 that I need. Alright, so I bent that wire there so that this is 38.8 inches in between these two stakes. Alright, so now I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to put the wire through up here at the top. Alright, so when we put the wire through, I'm bending these down, so you want to make sure you put your wire clamp on before you put your wire through. That way you don't have a hard time bending it down or getting it over the wire. Alright, so we'll pull that through, and again we're going to measure this to make sure that we're 38.83 inches in between these posts. And then we'll tighten it down. Alright, so as you can see, I got this gutter over here. Obviously I don't want to get on top of that, so I'm going to measure over 38.8 inches from where I want the stairs on this side to go, which is right around here. And then I'm going to pound this stake into the ground. Alright, that should be good and sturdy. Now, since this is 38.8 inches, I should be able to move this in any direction and have the right length. So that way I don't have to keep measuring. Right? So that side there is going to be one end. And that side there would be the other end. And if I come straight out, that should be the middle point. So alright, so this is roughly a circular, half a circle. Now, I'm going to actually make a groove in the ground using those stakes. So that will actually give me my correct shape without having to worry about that metal form defining my half circle. Alright, since the end of the stake here is pointy, I'm hoping to just be able to use it kind of as a tool and maybe get some of these leaves out of here so we can see what we're doing. Where I can pull, keep that line tight, and make a groove. And what I want to do is get this groove to where it's a couple inches deep, so I can set my my metal sheeting in there, and it will hold it. And that way I've got an instant cement form. Alright folks, as you can tell, I'm old and fat, and I've got this thing which I'm hoping now that I got my trench area marked for that piece of flashing, I can maybe speed up the work a little bit using this thing, and then put the flashing in there and level it out. So we're going to see if this can't save this old fat man some work. Alright, our little miniature post hole digger there. Made quick work of roughing out that circle hole, that trench, little miniature trench. So next thing to do is we'll get our sheathing in there, which is going to act as a form for our concrete. Alright, so we had some rain here, but I think that should help me get this thing here. Over here, we're going to put it in. I've got some more stakes over here, and we'll put those on the outside to help keep it in place, because otherwise we pour the heavy concrete on the inside and it might want to burst out. So we'll use those stakes to put on the outside every so often to keep it in shape. And then we got a level here to try to get this thing here level, and we'll just see what happens. Alright, so as you saw earlier, these posts, these rods have holes in them. You saw that when I put the wire through them. But what they're meant to do is you put them in the ground and you take a screw and you drill through there into a piece of wood to hold your concrete forms. Now I'm doing this a little bit backwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill from the inside through the metal, through a hole, and then into a little piece of wood or something to hold it in place, because otherwise I put a screw through the hole into the metal, nothing's really going to hold on to anything. So I need that piece of wood on the back side. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start over here and make sure I've got at least 2 inches or so depth of concrete on top of this dirt, and then we'll make sure the rest of this is level, and then we may need to move some dirt around after that. We got those posts in there, and they're on the outside where the concrete's going to go. Now you notice that I came up a little short on the ends, and it's probably because my wire there in the middle was probably just a little bit longer than I measured it when I pulled it tight. So if I had to do this again, I would make that just a little bit shorter, and then if I had any left over here, I would just bend it flat with the porch, and then that way I'd have my form all the way across. As is, we're just going to put a brick there to hold the concrete in, and it'll be fine. Alright, so as you can see, I don't have enough concrete in 6 bags to pour that all the way deep. But that's okay, because this is just a foundational layer. And so I'm going to take my smoothing trowel over there and smooth this out, paying particular attention to the first 10 inches, 10-12 inches, which is about how long a brick is. So and then I'll just fill in that hole there with concrete later. And this is all going to get, even if it's not 100% level, doesn't matter, because I'm going to use a level and stuff on the first layer of bricks will all be level. So this is just, again, something to get me started and be able to lay my bricks on. We are done for the day, and that's good because I'm old and fat and it's hot and humid, and I'm done for the day too. At any rate, we'll get some probably another 2-3 bags maybe, fill in that spot there, and then the rest of it will be mortar and bricks and stuff. So that is set up. It's supposed to rain tonight, which would be fine, because this would be hard enough to be rained on by then. And we're done for the day. Alright, so as you can see, we removed our form. You have to take that apart, unscrew our screws there that we had. And I'm going to check this, make sure it's level, and put some bricks on there to kind of see what I'm looking at. I think if I did 3 bricks, it'd be fine, but once I add the space in between them for the mortar, I'm thinking I may only need 2 layers of bricks to complete our steps. So 1 layer on the bottom, and then we'll go in another layer. Now, my foot, I wear a size 12 or 13 shoe, so it's longer than the brick. So I'm thinking I may want to come in 1.5 bricks. I'm going to lay the bricks out and see how they look. Now, if I do 1.5 bricks, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cut some bricks in half in order to get them to kind of lay right on the inside, and I'll show you why as we lay these out and test them. Of course, we got some cement. So we went to the store yesterday and just picked up a whole pallet of cement. I got it stacked out here in the woodworking shop. So we're not going to run out this time, I'm pretty sure. And then, of course, we'll just use this in other projects around here. We're always putting post holes or footings or something in. So my bricks here are old. They've been laying around for a while. And so they had a bunch of dirt and mud and stuff on them. I've got a bunch laying over there that have bugs and leaves and stuff in them. So we're rinsing them off, so that way when we use them in our project, the cement will stick to them good. Alright, so I kind of laid these out, and I get over here to the end. Don't quite have enough space for another full brick or another one of these on the inside. I think instead of cutting my bricks in half, if I just lay them like that, that'll give me the foot length that I need without having to cut a bunch of bricks in half, which I don't want to have to do. But since I've got a little bit of extra space over here and not enough room for that brick, what I'm going to do, as you can see, I've got all these kind of lined up with the edge of the concrete here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and and actually slide these out about 1/4 of an inch, or make sure that they're out over the cement just a little bit. And then doing that should allow me extra space over there to fit that last brick in. The other reason I wanted to do this first is because that way I get a feel for how much space here is in between each brick. So like right now I've got like about a thumb's width. So that way as I'm working, I know how to space these out to where when I get over there to the end, it's all right. So again, I'm going to space these out, or pull these out just a little bit, get it to where it's about like I like it, and then again see how my spacing looks, memorize that, so that way when I start setting these in concrete, it's all good. Alright, it may be hard to see, but I pulled these all out to where they overhang about 1/4 of an inch, and they gave me enough room to add another brick and still have a little space left over, but that's okay because I didn't really leave any space over here for mortar on that side, so I think I've got the right amount of bricks down there. I forgot to check. Move these over. And not quite enough for that one, but certainly enough for that one. So I think we're ready to start getting this ready to pour some cement. I'm going to check it with the level real quick and make sure we're kind of level. Alright, so we just got done with our first bag of concrete mix. Now, you might be wondering, why am I using concrete mix versus mortar mix? And I'm starting to question that myself. But my idea was, concrete has rocks in it and is sturdier, will hold up better. And since this is going to be used for walking on versus like, you know, the side of a house where you never walk on the mortar, I thought concrete might be a better solution. However, if you'll notice, concrete does not stick as well as mortar does to the brick. So I'm having to kind of manipulate it by hand, and I end up with these where there's open edges. It kind of falls off and just drips off because it doesn't have enough slump resistance. So I'll have to come back and fix that later. I'll probably just wrap something around here and then come back and touch up that cement, the edges a little bit. And I got like 13 bricks laid with one bag, so I got at least another 2 bags or so here to go to get this part done. And then again, the middle here will just fill up with cement, level it off, and then it'll be ready for the second course. So that's where we're at. Like I said, concrete, not the best for doing this, but it should hold up well. Alright, so we got the bricks all laid, and I ended up pretty close to what I thought I was going to. I ended up needing to a brick that was just a little bit shorter over here on this end than my short brick. But the wife had one out in the garden that fit in there just right. So, and you can see Lori here, she's got a bucket of water and a sponge, and she's just wiping off the tops of that concrete, because again, the idea of using brick wasn't so much as a building material, but as a decorative material. So we want to be able to see the brick. So we'll wipe those down, and then I got some concrete left over. We're going to fill up that middle part there. It took all 4 bags of concrete to just do the bricks. So, but again, we got plenty of concrete out in the shed. So we'll mix that up, fill this up, level it off, and float it, and then we'll be ready to do the second course of bricks. Maybe tomorrow. The concrete should be plenty dry enough to do this tomorrow. So we'll see how my back feels. Alright, so we got that laid, got that done. I got a little hole here in the middle. I just didn't want to mix up another bag of Saccrete just for a little bit more concrete. So again, we just kind of leveled the part that we're going to lay bricks on tomorrow, and didn't worry about filling that hole there in the middle. We'll do that tomorrow when we mix up more concrete. Got our bricks there ready to go, and so we're done for the day. Got a little bit more sponging to do over here, but so far it's not coming out too bad. Not for just some good old boy country project. Alright, so I've laid out some bricks here. I think for the second layer I can probably get by with using those long bricks, even though I end up with quite a bit of gap here. It's not, that gap's not big enough to like slice bricks and put them in there for spacers, but you notice the next row in is going to have big gaps. So I can either put partial bricks in there, or I think I'm going to go look and see if I can find enough of these 3-hole bricks, which would be shorter, and might help solve that problem. At any rate, we're off to find some 3-hole bricks. Alright, so there it is with the smaller bricks on the inside. Still got pretty good gaps in here, but I think it's going to be tolerable. So we'll use the smaller bricks on the inside layer, and then we'll have one more layer on top of that. Got to figure out how I'm going to do that though. Alright, so if you remember from before, we had this problem here where the concrete wouldn't stay perfectly square in there because of the slump of it. So we did this layer, we put these bricks in upright, which hold the concrete in. And so now we're going to go back and touch these up by putting bricks here, and then putting our concrete in. So we're going to mix up another bag to be enough to fill in this over here, touch these up, and then whatever we got left over will go in the hole there, and then we'll clean up the cement mixer and give this a couple hours to dry, set up, and then put on the second row just like this. Row this down now, which will bring the height up, I think, to where we need it. Alright, so we're going to have that little area in the middle that we're going to want to fill with bricks, but obviously it's getting small to put whole bricks in there without having a bunch of concrete fill. So I'm going to take some of these bricks, I'm going to go cut them into little pieces, that way we can work with them. Once we got a bunch cut up, we'll kind of play with this hole that we got there to come up with a pattern on how to put the bricks in there best. Alright, so we're going to try a little trick of cutting a brick using a hammer. I think this might be a lot quicker and might get us results that are acceptable. We'll see. So basically I want to cut right here where this hole is, so we're going to tap the brick until it just cracks right there where we're tapping. And there we go. One brick. And I think maybe I cleaned that up a little bit, but I think that might be usable. So we'll just keep going on this brick. Another piece or two out of it. Alright. Couple, 2 or 3 pieces per brick. I think that'll work. Alright, so we got those bricks broke up and set them in there. Obviously that will fill most of the space with bricks. Doesn't necessarily look too pretty, but that's okay. It's just supposed to be a country hick redneck homestead type stairway. So again, we'll come back a little later, put another row on top of these, and then finish that off with those bricks, and we'll be done. Alright, so I am out of concrete, and that's good. I wanted to make sure I could fit those bricks in there and that the cement was not too high. And I set those little bricks in there, and they're just a little bit lower than what they need to be. Not much, like a 1/16 of an inch, which is fine. I'm just going to let them sit there, and then if they were perfect height, I could just pour another bag of concrete in and put them all around there, squish them in, and they'd be done. But I have to take them out and then put just a real thin layer of concrete on there, and then fill them in the rest of the way, and then we'll be done. And we still got to sponge off this wet layer here. Give it a few minutes, and then we'll sponge that off a little bit so you can see the bricks again. And then we'll sweep, maybe take a wire brush to this lower row of bricks and pretty them up some too when we're done. Alright, so we took our bricks out of the space here after it dried, and I think this is going to take about half a bag of cement. We'll mix that up, and then I'm going to put a thin layer in there. And the reason for that is we checked to make sure our bricks weren't too tall last time, and we set them in there and they were okay, but they're just barely, so they just need to come up just a little bit. So we'll put a little bit of cement down in there and then set these in there, and then I've got a board here that I'm going to use to set over the top of them. I'll stand on that board. That'll squish them all down to where they're level with the rest of the bricks, and that way I don't have to worry about eyeballing it or using my little level there to level these off. So it should be pretty quick and easy. Alright, so checking this out, I've got a slight problem. These bricks here slope downward. I'm sure you can't see it on the camera, but as they set, since there wasn't any cement on this side to hold them in place, they kind of flopped down, sagged, I guess is the right word. They sagged down a little bit, so this edge is lower than this edge. So these are all level, but when I put these in here, these are a little lower than the level of these, but it's a little higher than this edge here on these. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to split the difference. We'll set these in here, we'll pour concrete in around them, and then this edge, we'll lose a little bit of this edge of the brick, I think, when we put this board on top and smush it down to where they're all even and level. But I think that'll work. It's going to have to work because I ain't taking this thing apart, that's for sure. Alright, so we scraped the bigger, looser chunks off with the putty knife, and we swept it, we hosed it down. This is what it looks like, getting ready to take the wire brush to it, see if we can't pretty it up a little bit. Alright, well, hopefully it will be the last step here. I'm going to see if a wire wheel will clean these bricks off a little bit to where they look nice. Yeah, so I think that'll work. It'll get us pretty close to the look we want. So all we gotta do is go around, touch up all those bricks, we'll be done. Alright, so we've gone over it with the wire wheel, and I swept it. I did not hose it down yet, but I don't expect it's going to look a whole lot different right now if I just hose it and let it get dry. But I do expect the appearance to improve a little bit over time as some of that surface grit that's still on there wears off a little bit with some foot traffic. At any rate, it is functional, and doesn't look too terribly bad for a I guess what you'd call a homesteader special.